Are ready to rock. Gentlemen, welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name is Ben. We're here to discuss practical shooting. It is after dark. You guys can use the naughty no-no words that people's parents warned them not to use. Joining me today, we got Mr. Joel Park.
Hello.
Mr. Nick. I like to call you Nick the Dick, but you're not at all.
I try to be. I try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but hello, I'm back.
And Mr. Jeff Chang.
Hello, everyone.
Guys, we got a great show tonight. A great show. A banner show. Actually, not really. It sounds like a pretty average show. It sounds like an average show. All right. Well, let's get to it. Nick, we haven't heard from you in so long. Everybody knows the rules. You're going to come here with the topic. We talk about it. Then we'll take a listener question. Maybe two, maybe zero. It all depends how the time flows. Because Jeff and I we got to get to that blackout, don't we, Jeff?
We do.
Yeah. Amazon reviews are just raving about that. I think it's at like 2 stars right now.
Who the fuck reads Amazon reviews for anything? I don't know what you're talking about. What were the Amazon reviews for PUBG like, Jeff? I don't think it was sold on there.
I don't actually know.
I don't think it was sold on there. I'm going to check. For people who don't know what we're talking about video games. Jeff and I are in a video game group. No, it's not even sold on here. Oh, it is. All right, PUBG on Xbox One has 3 stars.
Perfect.
What?
Oh.
What?
33% better than Black Ops then.
Well, that's
whatever it's called.
That's
Blackout.
telling you right there, like, how stupid Amazon reviews are.
Yeah. What do the consumers know?
Yeah, what do they? If you're stupid enough to buy PUBG on Xbox, that's really all I need to know.
I thought people bought video games just over the internet now. I didn't know you had to buy them from Amazon.
You do not have to buy them from Amazon. You just kind of right there, Nick. You're there you go. It's kind of like what was your favorite stage at the IDPA match? Having an argument about that when that just seems sort of silly when you really think about it. You know what I mean? All right, let's get to it. Nick, what do you bring to talk about today?
Well, the thing I've got in mind right now is just a thing that it's been getting me in matches and practice lately. It's kind of a personal thing that's just been, I guess, grinding on me. But I start adding up when I shoot club matches or even majors. Anytime I miss a little popper, it just pisses me off. It's irritating. And it's really bad too. Like it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, how bad it really is. And people just kind of sling around to these things and they ignore, how much time is really adding up there. And so, you throw a mic or you shoot a bunch of Ds. That's obvious. It jumps out at you. It's bad. But you throw a mic or two on a popper on a stage and, you may think it was a good run, but it really wasn't. So you think about how hard the popper shot was. You know personally kind of how long it probably took you to take that makeup shot, and just calculate that amount of time, and how bad it was for your stage score. And really, it's probably like a mic. It's probably like a paper mic almost, depending on how far the shot was and what kind of time addition you're looking at there. So, I start counting these in matches that I shoot, and it's a lot. I spend too much time missing poppers. So I've been trying to focus on that recently a little bit in practice, and unfortunately I'm not making a whole lot of headway, in my opinion, but I'd like to get you guys' take, I guess, on whether there's things you guys do other than what I'm doing. So, what I like to do is just basically set up an array of mostly hoser targets, and then I will throw in a shot on steel that is very difficult, right? Beyond almost anything you'd see in a match, and just shoot it at different points in the array of hoser targets. Then mix it up with like entry onto that shot, exit from that shot, shoot it in the middle of an array, whatever, and just try to really focus down to make that shot. I think where my personal issue, where I'm breaking down, is I don't maintain that level of focus when this steel shot is even more realistic, like something you see in a match. I can't make myself just focus as hard as I really need to make it all the time. So I'm not really quite getting the results I want there at this point. So
you're doing like a distance change-up then, basically, where you hammer something and then you go to aim.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
How far do you set it up? Like, it's like a mini at 25, a mini at 50?
Yeah, something like that. Mini at 20 to 30, in that range.
I've actually done this practice paradigm that Nick's talking about a fair bit. With a lot of close targets, then basically putting the longer stuff on steel, it really speeds up reset time and you get a lot of feedback off the steel. I actually like it quite a lot, and I'm going to be honest with you, I did kind of the same thing today. Just today. So I like it, Nick.
Yeah, and it's great. It's I run and practice a lot. I'll get to the point where I'll be hitting that steel, very consistently, and then I'll go to a club match and they'll have some little mini popper out of 25, and I'll mic that sucker. And I just think it's an issue of concentration, I guess. And I think I just need to kind of mentally force myself to focus harder than I really think I need to focus in the moment. That's kind of where I think it needs to go.
Well, I'm the scrub of the group, but I would say, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ben. My perception of time gets pretty skewed, where if I'm hammering stuff, it feels like I'm shooting at light speed. Then when I go to aim at something like a 25-yard popper, it seems like when I'm doing it that I'm really taking forever to shoot it to get that first shot hit. But then when I watch it on video, it's like, oh, that really wasn't as long as I thought it was, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody gets.
Well, yeah.
It's like taking just that little bit longer to aim, kind of have to force yourself to take a little bit longer, and you think it's taking forever, but in reality, it's really not as long as you thought it was.
Yeah, and also that that mix of targets is pretty reflective of what you'll see in a match, where it's like a lot of close stuff, and then occasionally tougher shots that you got to hit. So, but most of your shooting is railing on close stuff.
Yeah, and another reason I set up the arrays the way I do is that I find it more challenging to throttle down onto a hard shot. If all the shots are like, if I set up just an array of 6 poppers out there, same distance, I'm probably gonna hit most of them. But to me, the challenge is really throttling down to make that shot, more so than throttling up.
Yeah, it's fact. It makes sense to me. Most people are in that same boat, I would say.
Yeah. Anything else you can do differently to work on that?
Well, I don't like when somebody starts talking about their practice room, they're like, I do this. This is how I usually do it. I just want to go in there and fuck up their whole routine and make them do something totally different. I mean, be it for me or anyone else. It's kind of like, hey, I normally do this, and then just change it.
Yeah, just change it up, shock your system a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I like. All right, good. Mr. Jeffy, I understand you want to talk about rules.
I guess I am triggered by it.
You are. What are you mad about? So IPSC has made some rule changes, which I think initially when we discussed it, that big document had just come out.
Yep.
And you hadn't really looked through it yet. And now I think you've had some time to look through it.
Yep.
So
let's start off with something positive.
Yeah.
So they did change the trigger pull system. So now striker fired guns can have a 3-pound trigger, and double action, single action is still 5 pounds and no minimum for the single. That's good. Production guns can now also have aftermarket triggers, so you can drop in a trigger unit on a striker gun. That's neither here nor there, I think, but cool. But the biggest issue, and the stupidest thing that happened, I think, at the assembly, is we now have 3 new divisions. PCC is now a division in IPSC.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
what do you, Joel, you don't sound happy about that.
I'm congratulating him. That's excellent. That'll bring people into the sport for him.
Well,
Sure.
what they don't have in IPSC is they're not going to bring over a bunch of 3-gunners that don't like USPSA rules. So that's good.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so they won't have that issue.
But the other 2 new divisions we have a production optics and a production optics light.
So that means like production optics with an attached flashlight, or what?
That would make more sense, but no.
That
Yes.
would make more
Production,
sense, really.
I think it would. I think
Jesus.
it would.
Overall weight.
So, overall weight, yeah. So I think
Polymer and then metal, right? Then basically.
that's right. So the rumor is that there's certain countries that were pushing for this because of sponsorships from gun manufacturers, and polymer gun manufacturers not feeling like they're competitive, and this is supposedly the method to fix that.
Can I say something about this, Jeff?
Sure.
All right, I don't know if that's true or not. This rumor about sponsors wanting this or that, but I will say that I've heard it is frequently part of the discussion for us for USPSA that, hey, some sponsor wants this thing or some sponsor wants that thing. And what I have to say about that is, two sponsors is like, go fuck yourself. That would be my opinion. Just as a shooter, I don't think sponsors should be telling us what to make the rules. And I don't think as a community, we should really care what sponsors want the sport to be. We shouldn't be changing rules to make sponsors happy or having particular stage designs to make sponsors happy. And I think it's not crazy. I understand that people think sponsorship is valuable, but when it really comes down to it, I know a lot of the people who make those decisions as far as what they're going to sponsor and what matches they're going to sponsor and that sort of stuff. And we're never really talking about that much, where it's like, you could go talk to Matt for CZ and it's like maybe he'll give, I don't know how many guns. Let's say he gives 20 guns to USPSA Nationals. I don't think that buys him shit as far as a say in the match. And if USPSA zigs instead of zags and doesn't get those 20 guns, I personally don't care. And I don't think that, it's irrelevant. It shouldn't have any bearing on anything as far as the sport. Now, a lot of people feel differently. They think that sponsorship is valuable, but I don't think it doesn't really add any value to the matches. That's just me. Anybody have any comment on that? You guys probably don't. What do you think?
Well,
I'm not sure that's a popular opinion that I have.
To me, it almost kind of legitimizes the match a little bit more, just from the outside perspective. If anybody's looking at it from the outside,
Yeah.
That's kind of, to me, the biggest upside of sponsorship. But what I don't really get is where's this perception that plastic guns aren't competitive really come from? Like, where does it come from? At what point in time have plastic guns not been competitive in these kind of divisions?
Since metal guns started winning.
The first Optic Nationals, I know it was Max and Wansek. Those are both plastic guns, right? Of course,
Yeah.
The rules kind of mandated at that point, right? Didn't they increase the weight limit?
The weight limit still seems designed to exclude Shadow 2s and Stock 2s, but it comes down to the shooters.
Exactly.
In my opinion, it comes down to the guy shooting them.
I mean, you had a plastic gun win IPSC Nationals under the old rules. IPSC World Shoot under the old rules was won by a Glock, which everybody said was impossible. So it's just ludicrous. I mean, I don't know why that perception is even out there, really.
But because people win, Nick, you think about it far too hard, and you can't understand people that are dumb, quite honestly. Like, you don't understand dumb people. It's like they look at what the guns people used and they're like, well, they use this gun for this reason, so it's that's the advantageous situation, and it's impossible to win with other guns. If the now you're seeing it in CO. Basically, the heavy hitters in that division, for whatever reason, are incentivized to use those guns. Now, if Kim doesn't have a deal with Walther anymore and he wants to shoot a Shadow 2 instead, I'm sure he'll do just fine with the Shadow 2.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So if anybody
people don't look at it.
Like, does anybody want Optic Nationals with a metal gun yet?
No, nobody's want the metal gun. It's unfair for metal guns, I think. I'll have EAA pull their sponsorship for this thing.
I don't know.
If you don't make production
Statistically,
optics heavy for USPSA,
it's like I guess there's some what have you done for me lately factor at play, but I just don't get it. Why the plastic guns are always? It seems like the manufacturers are always.
What's the saying from your neck of the woods that they use on you now? They go, "Oh, bless your heart, Nick." I'm telling you, you just don't understand stupid people. That's all.
Okay.
It doesn't. The additional thing that doesn't make sense to me is if it's true that plastic guns aren't competitive and therefore we need a production optic light. Why aren't they doing that with production division? Or why don't they modify production division in IPSC to allow for Glock 34s? It's just strange that they took this step to add an additional division, and it makes no sense.
You know, for about a year there, I was looking at the rule set for USPSA and the rule set for IPSC, and it's just like, you know, each set has issues or things that I don't really care for or whatever, things I would change. Everybody has an opinion, of course. But I think we looked at it, and a lot of us that, there's not many of us, but there's a few of us that end up shooting both rule sets frequently. And it just kind of like, man, I think IPSC actually has better rules, and I never thought I would say this, you know? And then, boy, did IPSC went and they fixed that. They fixed that in a hurry. Jesus.
I can't get over that walking on stages thing, man. That just burns me.
It's not an IPSC rule.
Well, it's practice that matches, right?
Yes, it's culture and practice that matches. Ask Jeff if he's allowed to walk on stages at his IPSC matches.
Absolutely.
Really? Okay. Is that what level? Is that like a club match or a
Level 2,
level 2?
level 3.
Yeah, even our level 3s, you can definitely do that.
Is that just like a regional thing where you are?
I think it's a regional thing, it's a club thing, it's a match organizer thing.
Okay, so it's not even Canada-wide, it's just in your area.
And to be honest, I've kind of come around to that rule. I like it. I like it fine now, not being allowed to walk on the stages, provided the stage design's appropriate to that. If you're not hiding fucking targets and things like that, then, you know, if you won't let me walk on there, then fine. If it's a normal USPSA sort of memory stage thing, if it's one of those, and I get 5 minutes to look at it, I get a little annoyed.
Well, you can still sit in the back of the bay and see what everybody's doing and still kind of work your plan out, which is what everyone's going to do, right?
Yes.
But
that's why I'm annoyed. I'm not blown out. I'm annoyed.
Yeah. Okay. So, but also you've been acclimated to that rule a good bit, having shot a good bit of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten used to it. I mean, I wouldn't say I really like it, but it adds an additional element of pressure and that sort of stuff. And for the really big matches, for like a 30-stage match, everybody in the squad's going to go first a couple times, and you rotate through enough long course, medium course, short course things that it ends up kind of being fairly well balanced. It adds an interesting element to it. And as long as the stage design's okay for it, that I'm not going to complain about that one too much. That's just me. It bothers me less than it used to. Sorry, Jeff. I got to stop interrupting you.
No, what? I like this. I like this generated discussion that we have from the rule set.
It's basically me just being upset about things.
Yeah, but I mean, I do agree with you, and I do actually think IPSC in general has had better rules. I think we've discussed it before in this show, but I'd like the no cross-country rule in IPSC, but yeah, they had to go and ruin the rule book.
Is that the rule about only a certain amount of space you had to move within a stage, I guess?
Well, you can't leave a fault line and travel across the stage and re-enter the shooting area without penalty.
That's still a rule, right?
Yeah, so I actually do like that, but many people in the US don't.
Well, they haven't been exposed to another system, or they, you know, I get it. I understand why you wouldn't like that.
Can you imagine a Knicks World Shoot with 3 new extra divisions?
Well, it's getting a little bit silly with how many divisions they have.
Have they removed any?
No.
Okay, so they're just going straight.
No, IPSC, to my knowledge, no USPSA division's ever been killed. and one IPSC division's been killed ever, which was modified.
Yep.
And that was gone 7 years ago. Yeah, it's there's just a lot of divisions. There's quite a lot. It's made for a really interesting situation in the U.S. too. Having 8 divisions where you look at a lot of match results, and you have to figure out where the top guys are. You know. Oh wait, this makes for an interesting discussion. So we got to go to the nicest guy, Joel.
All right.
All right, you gotta. We'll play a USPSA version of Kill, Fuck, Marry. But instead, it'll be which divisions you want to kill. And so let's say you got to axe 4 divisions. You got to smoke out 4 in USPSA. Which 4 are you smoking?
Well, and L10, everybody would agree that goes automatically. That's a gimme.
No, well, not everybody would agree that it goes.
Okay. Sorry. Well,
Everybody sitting here would.
sorry. Other than the L10 national champion, I don't know. This is tough.
No, it's pretty easy. You're like, okay, L10 gone. Easy.
We're not going to have much debate on this topic, I don't think.
But when you get up to 4, it might get interesting.
Uh,
Kill 4. Come on, Joel.
rotators need to go due to lack of participation.
Revolver, stupid.
Yeah.
Agreed.
PCC gone. Sorry.
Okay.
There comes
Are
the
you
hate
sorry,
mail
though?
party rolling in.
Why would you get hate mail about that?
Because man, it's bringing people into the sport.
Yeah. Is it though?
Well, production, open, and limited are arguably like where all the heat is, right?
No, I was CO. Well, CO is sort of interesting, getting more interesting, I think, depending on which region you're in.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't pick the next one.
I mean, the people making divisions are like, Carry Optics is going to bring in all the operators to
the face
operate
shoot guys.
operationally.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. I mean, they're not really showing up in higher numbers than they used to. But what has happened is people that want to try open, but that don't like living that open gun life, for a lot of reasons, they can shoot a gun with a dot on it. That has been what happened.
Well, I axed 3, so you can pick the 4th. How's that?
I forget which one is left that I'd want to kill. Oh, single stacked. Yeah, I'd smoke that one then.
Yeah.
I'd probably leave CO and smoke single stack based on participation.
There you go. See? Easy. What do you think about that, Joel?
I don't know. I don't necessarily hate either one of them.
You can get rid of a division without hating it.
Yeah. But there are people that shoot both. I can see the reason for CO. Like, open's expensive. If you're shooting like 9 major, it's not bad. But super comp, brass expensive, guns are expensive. Maybe you want to shoot with a dot, so CO makes sense. 9mm is cheap to shoot. The dots probably fall apart, but overall, like that's an inexpensive way to shoot a gun with a dot and not reload.
Yeah.
So.
But why would you get rid of PCC?
Well,
you're saying it's kind of it's like its own thing.
Yeah, it changes the stages. People normally are not. It does not seem like it slows down the flow of the match because they're not organized. You need to organize like their bag or chamber flag or something that falls on the ground, and I don't know. So it seems like it interrupts the flow of the match. I would like to see PCC be its own thing, and then they would have like targets that test the capabilities of that rifle, and maybe like a strong hand, weak hand type of, I don't know, some kind of a challenge that would challenge those guns, because you're testing your skills on a rifle for the same stages that we're testing with a handgun. So maybe shooting a popper at 25 yards is difficult with your iron-sighted production gun, but your rifle with a red dot on it does not seem quite as difficult. So, like, how much is that testing the gun? Is that where you wanted me to go with it?
No, I didn't really give a shit where you went with it.
Trying to get me to go more crazy?
I love it when people go crazy on here, but
I know.
I wasn't trying to push you any particular direction. I was just
right.
kind of, I just like seeing what people have to say.
I hope that it does not change the course of the USPSA stages, that they're designed around shooting a handgun.
It's too
and that
late.
rifles,
It's too-
I know.
What are you talking about, man? So I mean, I went
That's
to
the way I would like it to be. How's that for a pipe
I
dream?
went to one match a few weeks ago, a club match, and it was, I mean, the guys running the match told me flat out they put in a particular stage to fuck over PCC people.
A start signal or a lean or like a start position?
It was the stage was nothing but leaning, and it was 12 rounds and quite a lot of running between the different shooting positions, and it was a real hard left lean and a real hard right lean, and I was told explicitly it was there to bone PCC people,
Yeah.
and then they're like, see, but it's not. But PCC is not really changing our match. I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys wasted this bay just to poke the PCC guys in the butt instead of giving me a cool, interesting stage to shoot, or giving the shooters such a, yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that even in one way or the other. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, but people look at the combined results and they can't really help it. That does have an effect on people's psychology, whether you want to admit it or not. I mean, and with how many divisions we have, what other results do we have to look at for a club match?
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, like,
I've been surprised with the equipment in PCC. I was expecting to see, everybody shooting a 6-inch, 1 pound super race little red dot gun. And it just really hasn't happened.
No.
Everybody's still got, their 16-inch AR that's shooting 9mm instead. That doesn't seem optimized for what we do to me, but.
Well, yeah. I was thinking, like, it's kind of interesting that there aren't really any limitations in PCC. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah,
even open guns have a limitation in terms of mag length.
Yeah.
And open handguns are not allowed to be. They're not allowed to be PCCs. Basically, the rules prevent you from using that. But PCC is kind of truly unrestricted. I can't think of any real restrictions in it. I mean, unlimited ammunition, essentially. You could have a conventional sight and a laser. I mean, it is truly open. It is wide open to whatever you want to do, and it is interesting that it's keeping a lot of 16-inch guns in it.
Yeah, I just think if you really want to take one of those to the extreme gamer-wise, I think you want to go absolutely as short as possible. You want to run hot ammo so you can get your comp working like you do an open gun. So I don't shoot them, but I've just been surprised at the lack of innovation, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, who's next? Who's that?
All right. I'll go.
Joel, you're triggered
Yeah.
by something. Was my understanding.
Yeah, I've been triggered. I was thinking back to an incident I had earlier this year. I was gonna leave out some of the details, but I figured what's crazy talk without a little bit of context. So,
Well, Joel, you could just discuss just speaking as a guy here, you can discuss a general situation that would maybe apply to more people's situation than just yours. Because it's
Yeah.
not like that would be the only time it's happened.
yeah. So, in USPSA, they have a box that your gun has to fit into for production division, which is required to shoot that division. So, Ben, keep me honest here. I shoot a stock 2 with a
Yeah.
factory safety and shock bottle base pads. That should fit. That should be legal for production division, right?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, it should be legal for production division.
Yeah. So, or I guess Nick, you shoot the same gun. So,
Yeah, mine never failed to fit into a box or even been really close to failing.
I had not had that issue either. So, went to a match, put your gun in the box. They have a. So I asked them later for clarification about the box they used, but it was an open type of box. It's metal, and you sit the gun in the box, and then it's got this metal slider that you slide over the top of the box, and as long as it does not contact the gun, then it fit, as opposed to having a lid that closed. Well, they set my gun in the box, they slide it across, it hits the safety. Like, huh? He said, oh, well, this happened with somebody else. Let's flip it over and try it. Well, then they flip it over and they kind of like slide it around the box a little bit. And then finally they got, like, after the third time, they got the slider to slide by, and then it passed. So great, I'm not shooting open division. So I didn't really make a scene about it, didn't need to escalate the issue. Later in private, I asked somebody in match management just for clarification. Like, I know there's specs to the box, maybe they need to be like give or take a certain amount, or they have to have a serial number or verified. The person wasn't overly receptive to the conversation, so I kind of just left it at that. I didn't shoot open, so I didn't create a scene. So thoughts on that part before we move on? Anything?
I've never
Thoughts
seen.
on that part? Well, yeah. Can I make a general comment here, Joel?
Please.
So I've been shooting a fair number of matches lately, and I always am a little surprised at sort of the attitude of some of the range officials when something is not working quite right. I'll give you an example. Went through the chrono at a match a while back, and the guy running the chrono's like, I mean, I'd heard, every match you go to, you hear about the chrono. It's like, at this particular one, the chrono's running light. And I was kind of like, okay. And I happened to be shooting factory ammunition there, which I've chronoed it everywhere. And then I go there, and it chrono's soft. I mean, I'm shooting minor, but only barely, with ammo that is very comfortably makes it. One guy in my squad goes sub minor. I hear other people are going sub minor, not allowed to carry on. And the guy at the chrono says, "Yeah, the chrono's running a little light here." And he shrugs. He's like, I mean, maybe you make it or you don't. We'll see. And that was the attitude, instead of it being like, so guys are coming to your major match. Like in my case, I got on a plane and I flew here, and you're going to shrug your shoulders in the instance that my tested factory ammunition does not make minor here. I mean, as happened to other people. And it's just, I don't know, just there's a little bit of a lack of self-awareness. So again, if I'm the chrono guy, then I don't mean to be a dick, but I see Joel Park. I probably know that name. If I'm a chrono guy anywhere, I know that name. You know what I mean? Probably, because they work a lot of matches, and you shoot a lot of major matches. I'm not saying you're a huge deal, but you see the same people, right? And you're like, I've seen this dude around. Oh, it says GM, so he's been around a while probably, and he's shooting a stock 2, and this looks like a very conventional, familiar setup. And then you put it in the box, and it's like you're having trouble getting it to fit, and there's no no bells are ringing anywhere where it's like something's not right with this. Or like this seems like this seems like a match issue and not like a competitor issue. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is occasionally that lack of awareness, and I say this because I know more than one person who's been retired from USPSA a little bit early by being on the wrong side of some situation like that. Be it an RO who's calling things really tight. You're DQ'd, and the guy's like, he just doesn't make a scene. He's cool with it in the moment, but then he just never shows up to a match again. Or a guy who's on, some ambiguous situation like that. Some guy is on he just ends up on the other side of it and just doesn't show up again. He's just like, fuck it.
Yeah. So
that's why I take that stuff seriously. Anyway, go ahead.
So the bulk of my trigger warning is just that like you said, I go to quite a few matches. They're mainly in my region, kind of in the middle part of the U.S., I guess. But I see a lot of variance in chrono stages. Some are really thorough, and then some are not so much. Where they kind of don't pull your bullets. Maybe they take your word for what bullet weight you're shooting, or I'm not going to create a scene like what you're saying. So I talked to that guy in private. I'm like, hey, this is kind of the situation I had. What do you think about this? Like, I'm not going to cause a scene. Like you said, if I had a problem, I probably just wouldn't go back to the match. But I would like to see chrono standardized, and I don't think there's any confusion about what the rules are. I would just like to see it standardized, whereas you go to every match, like the rules for USPSA, you go to any match and the chronos ran consistently the same way. So another thing that I think is it's doing a disservice to people by not having it ran consistently. Because if you go to, let's say you go to a section match and they don't check your stuff, or it's not done correctly, and maybe you pass, they don't do mag gauges. Well, then you go to nationals, you're all excited, And then you get there, it's like, oh, you've been using mags the whole time that were too long, like limited. Your base pads are a little bit too long. Like, you didn't know that. I would say for the most part, people are not cheating. You know, they just haven't had them checked, or they don't know the rules, or somebody else uses it, they think it's okay. Then they end up learning the hard way at a major match for, you know, their stuff doesn't comply, and they're now shooting open division with, you know, whatever division.
Have you ever seen a mag gauge come out at a club match?
No.
Have you ever been chronoed at a club match?
No.
Okay.
An approach I do really like, very much so. There's a match by me that they say, you know, hey, we're going to have a chrono. We'll be using, you know, the box, mag gauge, that kind of stuff. If you'd like to, after, you know, while you're walking the stage, stop by if you want to, and we'll check your stuff before you fire a round on your first stage. It's like, hey, you know, we're going to check you. If you have any questions, stop by. If you're not legal for that division, this gives you time to fix it.
Well,
I like that very much.
This is one of the things about big IPSC matches is you go to equipment check before you start shooting. So if there's an issue, you sort it out beforehand.
Yeah, okay.
I do like that.
Yeah, that's good.
One of those damn IPSC things, right, Jeff?
Yeah. I appreciate that. I mean, if you want to do that, it's good. But you know, I also think if you're going to put the resources into going to nationals, you should probably sort out your equipment and know the rules before you go. But
well, yes,
I agree.
Nick, you should.
Like, if you have a chrono that you think is light, what exactly are you going to do about that? All you can do is get a different chrono.
Well, no, if I go to a match where I think the chrono's light, I can't do shit, really.
Well, no, I mean, as the match director, if you think the chrono's light, you should probably get another one. But
I've been to matches where the chrono gets tossed.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Where it's, I mean, hey, we had 6 people on this squad go sub-minor. I was at a match with Jeff one time. This was actually really funny, Jeff. Remember that match where they had I think they ended up throwing the chrono out, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really weird where I think other people were going sub-minor and their stuff wasn't reading right, and the guy takes my factory ammunition out and he shoots it through my gun, and it's like 1100 FPS, 1100 FPS, 400 FPS. And then everybody's just kind of standing there and they just completely ignore that had just happened, and he fires another round. And I was kind of looking at him like, I mean, I feel like I'm sub-minor now, but I'm guessing you're not going to do that because you don't want to do that. But you were fine fucking the 20 people you fucked before me yesterday, but now that it's me standing here, you're not doing that. That was really funny to me.
Hey, you remember that? It was 3 years ago at Nationals. We had a light chrono. We had about 3 guys in the squad shoot like 128 or less. I don't think we actually had anybody get DQ'd, but that had to have been a little light. I mean, it had to have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny where it'll be like, yeah, the chrono's a little light. It's like, that's the attitude.
I mean, that's what they were, you know, that was their attitude.
All right, here it is. It's nationals. We know the chrono's not right, and we're running it anyway.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, okay. I mean,
I think like my 135 power factor ammo did 130, and I think a couple others, I think, you know, specific people were very close to the line. Yeah. So that's tough. Hate to DQ on something like that, for sure.
yes. That always kind of does shock me that some of the people in those power positions just shrug their shoulders and like, well, this is what the rules say, you know, blah, blah, blah. BOCs like rules if it stops them from having to do uncomfortable things. You know what I mean?
You know, but as a competitor, this is an easy problem to not have. You know, you take ammo that's a little bit hotter than it has to be, and then you're going to be good on pretty much any chrono, right? You don't gain anything.
Pretty much any chrono, yeah.
Floor.
I mean, it's like you take a gun that you know to be legal, and you should be good with any box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
You
So
might just have to flip the gun around and
yeah.
Well, and slide it, flip it around, and then slide it around the box a little bit too.
It's not. I've never encountered a box that I thought was even close to having an issue.
Yeah. Well.
Well, there you go.
I don't know. The box. I've never been fond of the box anyway. Just there's zero control over the box.
Nick.
My box dislike goes back.
Like I said, your brain just doesn't allow for stupid people.
Like I've never, like I said, in USPSA I've never had the slightest problem. In IDPA, I the last couple of IDPA matches I shot a gun that barely fits the box. Okay, I'm like, I got a rule book, I got a micrometer, and my gun's legal. And your homemade wooden box,
I've got a rule book and a
is a
micrometer
open, and I'm like, what? You know.
Well, you know, Nick, any competitor could just stop from having that argument if they just pick a different gun.
Well, no.
You know what I
not
mean?
in this case, because this box was obviously bad.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, obviously bad. Like, way small. So, you know, you need to standardize the box source also, if you really want to do it right.
And then they have to, like, never make one that's out of spec at all, even
Correct.
according to your micrometer.
Yeah, people that manufacture things
Never.
correctly can do that.
Well, no, there's always a tolerance. There's like a range, you know?
Yeah. But they can make it within a tolerance. It doesn't matter for what we're doing. No problem.
Okay, Nick. I admire your faith in humanity, sir.
The whole USPSA production division requiring a box is strange to me. What is that trying to stop people from doing?
Just be outside maximums, I guess.
I have no idea.
Because I mean,
at this point, USPSA production rules don't make any sense to me. And I'm just saying that because I don't really understand what the objective is, you know?
I mean, I guess you're going to check if your safeties are too wide. I mean, I guess that is really the only thing, because you have an approved gun list.
right.
So if you're on the list, how could you be out of spec unless you've added some part that makes you out of spec?
Safety or base pads, I guess.
Base pads or safeties. Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's get to a podcast question. We're going long today, so I'll skip my thing. All right. Hey, Ben, in dry fire, what do you do when you're trying to go through your session and you either don't physically feel like dry firing or you can't focus on what it is you're trying to get better at, or both at the same time? I've had this problem for a while, and the solution I came up with is to do something similar to what I've heard Bob Vogel does sometimes, is dry fire while watching TV for 30 to 45 minutes. I came to the realization that if I really want to push to get better, I can't do that. I need to have a real dry fire session daily so that I will actually get better instead of making it normal for the gun to be, instead of just making it normal for the gun to be in my head. I was doing 3.5 to 4 hours of dry fire split up into 2-a-day sessions, and I saw dramatic improvements in doing this 5 to 6 days a week, but I've hit this wall and can't seem to get back to doing that. Blah, 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 extraneous personal details, some words, some numbers. All right, sorry for the lengthy letter. Thank you for your help. There we go. Jeff, you laughed the loudest at this, I think.
Well, that's a lot of dry fire. I think that's a fairly impressive number.
It's a pretty good month for you, probably.
It probably would be. But I mean, change up the routine. Otherwise, I don't see the value myself of doing something half-assed if you're watching TV or otherwise not focused. I don't see how that's beneficial. So if it really isn't happening, don't do it. Do it the next day.
Okay. I mean, my advice is similar, where it's you do at some point not need to do it 4 hours a day. Where it's, I mean, you're saying to yourself, hey, I'm bored, I'm disinterested in this, I'm not sure I can physically do it. It's kind of like, hey, dumbass, don't. You know what I mean? Don't do it. If you don't feel like it, you don't have to do it.
You're just gonna get burned out or hate it anyway. You're gonna dread it. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So as opposed to 4 hours of watching like 2 movies back to back, then just do 15 minutes and be intense and all there and super focused for 15 or 20 minutes, and after that little bit, then go do something else.
Oh, I just told the guy on Facebook there's 3 weak hand stages at Nationals. He's freaking out now. He's accusing me of trolling and joking. Oh boy, the joke's on him.
That's all classifier stuff, I guess.
Yeah, apparently there's 3 weak-handed ones. I kind of hope that's not true, but for the listeners, we're obviously recording this before Nationals, so you know, We'll see. 3 weekend stages will be like, we are at, I don't know, somehow USPSA matches are getting dumber when they're supposed to be getting better. So I don't really understand. What? Why are you laughing, Jeff?
Just trying to imagine a big match like that with 3 weekend stages.
Classifier, Virginia count classifier stages.
If I had to guess, those will probably be what classifiers they're going to use going forward. So they're just trying to get data to build for next year. So they're having everyone in all 3 divisions, or whatever, 8 divisions, shoot that. And so I'm guessing they don't move the targets on those bays at all. They'll be the exact same spots. They get data, and then those will be classifiers next year.
Which doesn't make any sense.
I'm guessing
but okay.
That's the reasoning for it. I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
So that's how they did it. When's the last time they released classifiers? 13 series?
I don't know.
That was definitely. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the high hit factor will be a high hit factor in nationals. Like that
right, until the high hit factor goes up from there.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great match to pay and travel to.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense because you could just have a diagram go out there and then have people start shooting them and then collect the data and then have high hit factors. You know what I mean? Which will be higher than the nationals' high hit factors.
Of course.
Obviously. We were just having this discussion the other day. Matt Hopkins and I shot a club match at my club, when it was snowing out.
Yeah, that looked miserable, dude. I was not envious of you at all.
So we're shooting I was thinking, like, it is a funny feature of the classification system that the high hit factor on this classifier in the snow, when I can't feel my hands, is the same as if I were to shoot it 65 degrees and sunny out.
Yeah. Well, I thought for a while they should only use data from level 2 or higher matches. I mean, anybody can mail in any damn thing they want for a club match, right? And you don't have any control of the quality of that data, like none.
You know, it's just a funny situation to me. I mean, I don't really care about it at this point, aside to laugh at it. But I mean, I'm a little annoyed. We're shooting 6 classifiers at nationals. When I say a little annoyed, I mean really annoyed.
So what is
Really
it? Are they like in addition to a normal field course count, or is it like
I don't
20
know.
stages and 6 hour classifiers?
I don't even care. Like, I don't care. Again, personally, I don't give a shit. I'm annoyed by it. Like, I'm annoyed enough that when they used 6 ICS classifier stages at the US IPSC match in Florida, I saw that happen. I was like, oh, well, I'm not going next year. And I just didn't go. I was like, if that's how they're going to do it, like, I'm not going. I don't care what's going on with that. Fuck that.
You obviously have a strong opinion on this topic, sir.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of like, I was watching Walking Dead and I enjoyed it until the show was stupid. Then I stopped watching it. Like, I didn't think about it that hard, and I'm not very opinionated on it. I don't enjoy this anymore, so I'm simply not going to subject myself to it.
I mean, for IPSC, that's like a third of the stages you're shooting anyways. So,
For what?
well, the IPSC could due to the stage size.
Yeah, no, you shoot 0 USPSAs in IPSC. Virginia count is not a thing. There's like movement. They know how to make interesting short courses.
Yeah.
The retards I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. Cognitively disabled people in the U.S. Think that that short courses are like, that means, oh, it's like a classifier, right? And there's like, we limit how many rounds you can fire, and then you stick a reload, then you shoot one-handed, and all that kind of bullshit. Like, no, you can actually do interesting stages that are short courses.
I'll definitely give you that. That's true.
Yes.
I think all my favorite stages at Worlds were the short stages, or a few medium ones.
Well, yeah, the medium stages really were standout at the World Shoot.
Yeah.
Especially. The short stages were interesting, too. The long courses, I feel they neutered by not having any props.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is it seems like for the matches I shoot, the short courses generate more conversation about ways to shoot it than the longer field courses. Because normally if it's a longer course, you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go this port. You're just kind of like, it's pretty easy. It's a no-brainer when you look at it. But if it's something like a triangle maybe, or like I set up one at our club match this past month where it was triangular, you start in the back corner, and then you're going to end up having to go up to each of the front 2 corners for one target. And then in the middle, if you can imagine this, there's a large popper, maybe 15 yards, and two targets, two open metric targets. So you have to go to each corner, but it's like, do you want to draw and shoot the middle ones in the move? Do you want to run to the corner, shoot that one, drop step out, shoot the paper and the two poppers on the run to the other corner? You know, like, and people, there was a lot of genuine conversation about that compared to just like, oh, it's a stage. You look at it. There's really only one way to do it.
Well, it's
and then you
actually
just do it. So
it's actually easier to design a lower round count stage that's interesting than it is to design a high round count interesting stage with lots of angles to shoot. Because anytime I stick a target someplace, you know, I can't put things behind it because bullets go through things. They have that annoying tendency. So you know what I mean? Like any place you put targets, you start shutting down sections of your bay, because you're going to be using them as, you know, to have a firing angle on a target. And then what ends up happening is you just kind of populate each angle that you pick, or each position you pick, you just populate it with more targets. That's what typically ends up happening. In a sense, it makes it less interesting.
yeah, but for that on my squad with I think 3 GMs and an M class dude, like that was the most conversation about how to shoot something for a 9-round stage than anything else at a 6-stage match.
But let me tell you
So,
something, Joel. People come there to shoot, and
I know.
and because fun. So we need.
I should have had at least 3 per or 4 per. I know so people would have got their money's worth, but
Hey Jeff, for your weekend, like a day match, your level 2 day matches. How many rounds is that typically?
Typically, I bring 400 over 2 days, and I take home about 100.
So it's
150 give and take a day.
And how many stages is that usually?
Typically 6 to 7 maybe, but mostly 6 stages.
It's very USPSA style then.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Well, it's Canada's like half USPSA, half IPSC. I don't give a shit what the rule set is. It's half and half. It's not European style IPSC. I always get a laugh. Don't take this the wrong way, Jeff. But when people are like, "Hey, I've always wanted to try IPSC, and I live in Michigan, so I think I'll drive to Canada and shoot IPSC," and it's just kind of like, I just give this. For the audio rip listeners, I'm giving a really sarcastic thumbs up right now to my camera, because like it is not the same. I'm not shitting on Canadian matches. It's just like it's not the same sort of thing that you would expect at, you know, a European style IPSC major match. It just isn't.
Yeah, I had the same thought watching Canadian match video.
This is why. The guy running late in 2000, the guy running for Area 2 director, I think that election will be over by the time this airs. But when he says, I want to give people the choice, we're going to have USPSA and IPSC matches in the US, I'm kind of like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Because if I have US match directors and US shooters that always shoot USPSA, and then I just hand them the IPSC rule book and be like, you guys are doing IPSC now. They're still going to have the same match. It'll just have different equipment rules and some slight variances in the way the rules are, but they're going to build the same match because the matches come down to the way the stages are designed. You guys get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yep.
No. I was hoping somebody would challenge me, but
No, I agree. It's a mindset difference between European matches and what we see here.
yeah.
It's less to do with the rule book or the form or the format targets. It's a mindset.
It's got almost nothing to do with the rule book, you know? It's very little. Oh, well. It's just an interesting. I'm not saying one's better than the other for people who want to get all irritated in the comments. I'm just saying the differences are not, the rule book isn't really what makes them different. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for today. I really enjoyed it, especially having Nick here. No offense. I've seen a little too much of Joel lately, but Nick, you're welcome anytime.
Well, just I'll be back. I'll be back soon.
All right. And Jeff, I'll be seeing you shortly in our video game group.
Absolutely.
All right, listeners, again, if you have a question, go to benstoker.com, send me your question. I always get a laugh when somebody Facebook messages me or Instagram DMs me their podcast question, because those people can't follow directions. It's go to my website and email me, where I likely will, I mean, I'll click on your DM or your Facebook message, I'll read it, and it doesn't get tracked anywhere. If it goes into my email, I just click the little star icon next to it and it saves it so that I know that I have it for later. So that's why if you send me your question in any form that is not email, I likely don't use it. And it's not me being a dick. It's just that I don't see it or track it that way. Anyway, that's my spiel. All right, so boom.